Yeah.
Okay. So yeah,
Sorry, where did you put the your link to the
it's in meeting resources, like the channel below announcements.
yes.
Yeah. So you don't need like prior knowledge or whatever, like I said. But if you don't already have Node.js, hopefully most of you guys have that installed. Any of you guys not have Node.js installed? Okay. Uh, if you don't, that's fine. You can install it there. But yeah, the first step that I assume all of you guys have VS Code if you have Node.js, but if you don't, let me know that too. I'll off this. There you go. That should be enough. Yeah. So the first thing I want to do is I'm in an empty folder right now, right? If you want to follow along, you could make an empty folder, or if you want to really just skip to the end of this, you can just git clone this, right? And then you're done. But obviously, I'm not going to do that. I'll start with this empty repository. There's nothing really special there. And then what I'm gonna do first is I'm not gonna like follow through these all of these different steps, but if you do want to do this on your own, like if you need to leave now, then you could just follow along all of this. But the idea here, the first thing that you want to do is to npm install the library. So that's npm install dash g at Angular slash cli. Um, That should take generally a second. I already have it installed, so I think it should be a bit quicker. Um, I'll let it run. Let me try that again.
I think it's
Did I misspell something? Think it's good. It might be. Oh, there we go. My laptop also sucks. It might just take longer for me than you guys, which is fine. But yeah, um, there we go. Um, if you don't have Node installed, make sure to have Node installed. Um, the The GitHub link is in meeting resources, and then that should have all the instructions. But I'm obviously gonna go through a little bit out of order and everything like that. If you don't know if you have Node installed, you can just run Node version, and then that should have some number. I don't think that number really matters. I, as long as it's above like I think 15, Angular should be all the same version. So no issues about that. But after you do npm install Angular, if you do ng a version, um, this should come out with some number, or like at least it shouldn't come out with an error, right? Um, yeah, and again, this is my laptop sucking. It should be momentary for you guys. But yeah, if that all works, that means that you should have Angular set up, and that's basically the basic idea of all of this. And then now you want to actually create the app. Um, did I don't believe I added that in the GitHub. Um, I don't know why, but let me find it here. Oop. Oh, sorry. I think I forgot to. Did I put this doc? Nope, I did not. Sorry, this doc should also be in the GitHub here. Let's see. There we go. My bad. So yeah, that this instruction ng new club dashboard dash dash routing equals false, blah blah blah. Right. That's how you create this sort of like the boilerplate for everything. So if I run that, this is gonna take even longer on my computer. But once it's done, it's gonna create a folder called new club dashboard, and then it's going to basically create kind of like the framework for the project. Yeah, feel free to take as much treats as you. You can take the whole box if you want. And yeah, and for all of these instructions, I'm just gonna click enter. No is like the default. Um, if you want stuff like SSR, I think that's like once you have to connect it to Node and everything like that, then you would click yes. But this is just a static front end website. Um, if you don't, I didn't explain the goal of the website yet, but the goal is to basically have a club dashboard. You see all your different members. You can mark them as active or inactive, click on them and get some information. And then maybe at the very top, you can have like some statistics about how many active members you have, how many inactive members. Um, yeah, if you want to see the final product, you could again clone everything and then skip all the way till the end. But yeah. Uh, so now we have a club dashboard. You can see kind of the source folders where we're going to do basically everything inside this app mainly. And inside this app, right now, all we have is CSS, app.css, app.html, and then app.ts. App.config right now isn't I don't think it's ever useful for us. But if I go ahead and then run this, right? So I'll cd into club dashboard. So now that I'm in this folder, I can run, I believe it's is it ng serve dash o, right? Or maybe it's ng dash o serve. Yeah, I think it's dash o serve. Nope, I'm right.
ng serve dash dash open.
A dash dash open?
Yeah, that's what I see in the wiki. Oh,
I don't know. It might be because I'm sharing and recording and everything. Let me try putting a charger. It's like hideously slow. Yeah, so then once you run that, you see the sort of um starter website. So it says hello club dashboard and then all of these different links if you want to learn Angular separately, right? But then that's not what we want, obviously, for the application. We want some extra things here. And the first thing that we're gonna want is a component. So how many of you guys know React? Okay, so I didn't obviously expect you to know React, but if you know React, Angular is kind of, I mean, obviously it serves the same function as React, but it's more, I'd say like compartmentalized. React, like just to give a good example, React, like you have your HTML embedded in your JavaScript. In this, you're gonna have them separate, except your code's going to either be a component or a service. So a component is something that shows something, right? Like you look at a component that's part of your front end or your service is something that does something for your code. Like a service that we're going to be creating is the member service, and a member is like an object that's part of your club in this club dashboard, right? So a service could, for example, let's say if you're adding a new member to your dashboard, that's a service where you're adding it. That's part of the member service. But you're adding on to, let's say, the list, and the list is a component on your website that's an Angular component. Okay, so I'm gonna create the first component, and that's gonna be I don't think the order where the README goes is the best, but I think the first one, just starting off with the dashboard, um, might be the best way to go. So I'm just gonna run with that. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, so if you run ng generate service members, what that does is create the first service, which is members. And like I said, the member service is kind of like, think of like a schema if you've ever used databases. We're gonna build out the schema for a member before we actually produce everything else. So I think it already gave us a good, I guess, boilerplate here. So the spec.ts file is kind of going to be like the different functions, and then member.ts is going to have our what's the word? Like the object itself. Okay. So now that we have that, I'm gonna first edit this, right? Get rid of everything here. I'll keep the import because that's useful. The first thing you want to import is behavior subject. Oop, that's not behavior subject. Behavior subject. That's from a package called Rx.js. Um, I think Rx.js is just like a fundamental part of Angular. But behavior subject it's like a fancy word, but think member is a service, and then the service needs to communicate with some component. This behavior subject is essentially what the service is going to use to find a channel to communicate with a component. And that's going to make more sense when we actually use that behavior subject. For now, it makes absolutely no sense, of course. But yeah, I'm just going to move on, and then we're going to have this member. And then a member we're gonna say has an ID, just a unique identifier. A member for a club can have a name, which is a string, and then active or inactive, which is a Boolean. So hopefully you guys understand what these different data types are. But this is the information that we're storing under a member. And then now the more kind of technical Angular part, you're gonna create an injectable, right? Which is a fancy word for essentially saying, um, like, it's like injectable code that we're gonna add into this member. Like what is this member exactly doing? Kind of like a tag, right? I wouldn't worry too much about these like add whatever tags. I think that's just telling Angular where things go in different parts of the code. But yeah, just make sure to have that there, otherwise it's not gonna work. And then the meat of the code is gonna go into this member service class that I create, and then we'll add this later. And I'll just add that comment there. Because for now, we need to actually work on the next part, which is, let's see what's next. The member.add function. And then once that member.add function is done, then we can add that into the member service. So if you do generate component member add, remember before we were doing a service, and now this is a component. If you remember the difference from before, member service is essentially like the larger thing that's acting on all these different components. So now that we have a component, let's create the thing that we're acting on. So that created a nice folder for everything there. Makes it pretty convenient for us to mess with that. Actually, I don't know. We probably should have done member list before member add. That's my bad. So, oops. Not member list. I'm gonna make member list first. I don't want to go too much out of order. Just so we have like a layered app that's built out well. The first thing that I want to get done is the list, and then the add button to add to your list of members in the club. So let's get the list first. You get the same exact structure. You have CSS, some HTML, which we need to add, spec.ts, which is all the different functions, and then member list is going to be the actual like the class itself. So member list, I'm gonna get rid of everything in this .ts file. Import the component from at Angular core, I think is import. Yeah. And then there's two things that you need to import. ng4 and async pipe. And basically what these two do is like I think ng4 basically relates to async pipe. Async pipe is essentially saying this member list is going to update when we add a new member properly, right? Because it's kind of like a synchronicity issue. When you click add, you want that list to immediately update without any errors. So that makes it very convenient there. And I think this is also from common. Yeah. And then finally, router link. I'm not going to be using this for a while. But I just want to keep it there. This is for when we're going to make different pages in our application later. But for now, it's not super relevant as long as it's a one-page application. And then next, I'm going to have that tag. Again, this tag is just telling that this is what this part of the code is supposed to be doing. For this, I'm just gonna copy that section of code from the README. Let's see. Yeah, because I don't want to type all that tag stuff out. Yeah, but I'll just walk you guys through it. So we have that component tag. This is just telling the code again that this is a component. Here. And then you have your member list class itself. And then that member list class is going to have three different functions. One is get members, which is getting a list of those members. Toggle, we're going to call toggle as a function to toggle that property that we wrote earlier in members. Remember this like active Boolean value. That's basically just going to flip that Boolean value. And then remove is just going to remove, right? So then you have these different three functions. We're gonna have to do a little bit more work in this spec.ts later. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it like this. And then not move on, but move backwards into members.ts because now that we added something to the list, like now that we created this component, we need this component to work with the member service itself. So then to connect those, I'll go a little bit backwards. One second. Yeah, I'll go a little bit backwards and then let's go to here, right? So remove this comment. First thing I want to do is let's see. I'll create this ID that's tracking remember this ID variable that we created. Set that equal to 4 at first. And then we're gonna start off with some dummy data. I'll call it private members subjects. Equals new behavioral subject. And this is a list of members. And then this list of members, we want to populate it with some initial data. And then that initial data, I'll just call it ID. We'll call the name, I don't know, Alice, Bob, and Chris or whatever, right? So let's say Bob starts out as an inactive member. And we need to make sure that these IDs are unique. Otherwise, the later parts of the list are not going to work. But yeah, and let's add one more. Let's say David. Oop. And this is 4. Which means we need to make this next ID 5 because the next ID is going to be ID number 5. So now a member subjects is populated with some initial data. I'm just gonna have this extra line here, this member subject as observable. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what as observable does. It's something to do with the implementation of a behavior subject. But a behavior subject is what's talking to the components. So as observable, I believe it has something to do with making it public to hearing all the components, and so the components can actually use this information. And then I'm gonna have a get function here. That's essentially just saying it's gonna return a members list and looks something like this. This is just so we can return this member subjects list. Okay, so I think that's it for this function for now. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, I think that should be good. I'm gonna move on to the next part of members list. There's a bunch of errors here. I think that's because we need to still implement these functions. But before I implement those, I want to write the HTML for this members list. I think that should be the most simple HTML, but still I don't want to spend too much time on typoing and all of that. So I'll grab that off of this. It's a members list, right? So essentially the HTML is exactly just that. It's a list. So what you have is UL, just a little bit of HTML review, right? UL is on unordered list, so it's not gonna say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And each of these LI, which stands for list item, is going to contain some information. It's going to contain this over here, which is the member name, and then it's going to have their activity or inactivity, right? Whichever their status is. And then it's going to have a separate div. A div is kind of like a block of HTML code, and that's going to have a toggle button and the remove button. So that should make it nice for the user to either toggle or remove them or look at their different information. Later on, I'm going to make something where if you actually click on it, that gives you some more information. But for now, we can just leave it like that. Last thing, I can say, take this CSS code. CSS is my least favorite thing, so I'm not even going to review this. I don't know anybody that actually likes CSS, but if you want to read through this, you could. It's just basically just styling all of these different things. CSS.
Style sheets.
Yeah, he's right. Just to give like a brief description, CSS is essentially things that the file that accompanies the HTML. Notice how I gave this tags, like let me find one. Yeah, I gave this a tag. I called it class member name. All that's saying is that putting a tag on this object uh that I that I called member name. So when I go in the CSS, this member name over here is associated with that HTML component. So um, I'm basically, this like block is meant to have the member's name down. And to that block, I'm giving it a font weight, a bluish color, and then no text decoration, right? And then same thing for all of this, basically just making it look pretty. That's all that is. Yeah.
You know how React like in the div put like class name or maybe that's just for Tailwind, but does Angular have like a similar type of thing to specify the design?
Um,
The-
yeah, Angular works at Tailwind.
Is that only a Tailwind thing, like the class name equals, like, there's like PX is like for padding, like there's different codes.
I mean, there's things other than Tailwind, right?
Yeah,
I know there's like Parchment or something like
yeah,
that. But yeah, that's like a Tailwind Parchment
okay.
type thing. Um, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah, can you do that in Angular also, I guess?
I mean,
Basically,
yeah, I mean that's going, all of this is going in HTML, right? Even in
Yeah.
React when you do it, it's still going in the HTML. The only difference is that this HTML would be in some sort of JavaScript file, right? Instead in Angular, like the difference is that we have a separate HTML file where all of this is going into itself, right? Um, yeah, the next thing I want to fix is these errors because this being red is annoying me. Um, what that means is I need to make these. Oop, oh yeah. I'm gonna make these functions, right? I don't know why all of these are erroring. Oh, I think I misspelled it. Okay. I should call this member subject. That way everything is in line with the README. Yeah, that should fix theirs. Okay, so I created all these different functions. The first one up here was just returning them, right? And now we need all the different other functions that go into creating this service. So the first one is toggle. We already created a toggle component function here, but we also want a toggle component function in the services end, right? So that basically has the same exact function. It looks for the proper ID, the unique identifier. Um, this is all like JavaScript syntax, right? Like if you don't understand JavaScript, you're like, why is there a dot 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 ellipses in my code? But that's like a weird JavaScript finick that that's there because like you need to unbox um like the data before actually mutating it because data types are immutable. Um, but like if you look over here, right, essentially all you're doing is putting an exclamation mark, you're flipping a Boolean value. Update name, same exact thing, except instead of updating a Boolean, you're setting a name. And remove, you're removing this from the member subject list. So that's that. Now I believe when we go to this app, it should look hopefully a bit different and without any errors. Let me look in the terminal. Oh, I quit running it. Okay. Okay, I think we actually have to update app.ts. Uh, that's pretty important. Okay. Sorry, I forgot, like, we're building all of this, but this is independent of like the gateway of our app. So we need to actually update app.ts as well. Um, so that's pretty important. Let me find the point in here where we run this. Okay. Looks like this right now. But I think there's we need to add members add before we move ahead with that. Okay. So members add already accidentally went out of order and did this. I think I've been going way out of order, which is why I confused myself there. But I think after this, we should get to the part where app.ts needs to is ready to be added with both of these components. But before we do that, let's finish that part up. Um, remember add. Right, I already ran this command, but I'm gonna copy this over quick and put it in here. Um, it's just honestly all of these components, we already wrote one down manually. I don't want to write another one, because it's literally exactly the same. By that I mean that you're gonna have this component tag, and then this export of the actual class itself. Um, I'll run through one more of these just because it's kind of important, right? You have components and services. Once you understand both of those, then you know Angular. But within this class, you're going to have an add function. Um, that's kind of the whole point of this class. And basically, what that does is it calls member service dot add, which goes back to this over here into this add function, which we implemented ourselves. So then that's going to call the service, the member services add function, which should make everything nice for us. And then after that, we have the HTML component here. And all that's going to be is a button. Yeah, a button and the input, basically a form in HTML, right? We want to take in the member's name, and then we want to add them in with the add function. Um, so that's that. If you're confused on what ng model is, that's another Angular type of thing. It's a double way form. So notice how this add function, if I go over here, this add function is updating this name variable. Um, but we basically want to link that name variable and what's going on in that form without the button having to be clicked each time. In React, how you'd have to do this is like have it as a use effect, right? Which makes it like a variable that's like more static to the page versus having to be re-rendered each time. But when you use this ng form thing over here, what that does is it links that variable directly to whatever is being in that form, without having to refresh every single second the page is re-rendering. And then CSS. I'm gonna plug that in there. I didn't go too crazy with the CSS, just because that's not the focus and I don't like CSS. So yeah. Any questions so far? No. Okay. Um, yeah. Um, Give me 5 seconds. I just need to find one thing I think we're missing. Hmm. Did any did any of you guys get it like on the app.ts page that are ahead of me?
Get one.
Um, I'm kind of I skipped the point. Like we're supposed to be adding it in the app.ts part, like up here. Um, right, because when you edit this, that's actually what changes the like the what we create itself, because that's kind of the gateway point, right? Until then, it'll just look like this. Um,
I got it to look like this.
yeah, that's what I want it to look like,
I
right?
think maybe it's because I just like downloaded the repository. So a lot of the stuff is like already done. But not everything, but like most of the stuff is done. So but um is this what it's supposed to look like at the
Yeah,
end?
yeah.
Oh,
You have it perfect. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to find, because I did have it in the instructions at some point.
what are you looking for in the instructions?
That shell router output. So, yeah, that issue. So,
Oh, is that where it is? Okay. So is that's at the very end, I assume then? I thought I would have put it
yeah, it's on 8.3.
8.3. Okay. So we can, I guess we'd have to do that at the very end. That's unfortunate. It's like already 7:20, so um I kind of wanted to get at least like an intermediate product. Let me see. I can take this and then cut it down a bit. Right. I think I broke it.
Yeah.
Isn't it just supposed to route to the dashboard page?
Yeah, it is supposed to route to the dashboard page. That's right. Because like you have a slash dashboard
Yeah.
at the end of your URL, right? Um,
No, actually, I don't have a slash in the URL bar. I don't have the slash dashboard. It's just in the code. It's the router link. Oh no, actually no. It's just the name is dashboard. The router link is just slash stuff.
okay. All right. Let me go to the source code that you have pulled up then. Um, hmm. Are you guys fine with me just cloning this GitHub? I'm sorry. I stumped myself. I don't know how. I swear I know Angular, guys. I'm just tripping. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I guess we have the completed version now. Um, in here. All right. I don't want to just show you guys, oh, cool, it works. I'll show you like what we did so far and then why. I'll try to figure out at least why what I had written up didn't work. Um, let's see. Oh, that's weird. Right. So once I'm in here, make sure npm install. Right. So I think we already finished member list, right? So if I look in here, this HTML is exactly what we had before. This .ts file has the toggle and the remove. And then same thing with member add. I think this should have everything that exactly as we had it before. The only two new things are the dashboard. The dashboard is essentially just a header for this application. Here. We'll see once I run it. Do ng serve -o. And second, once that opens up, you can see the dashboard there. But um, let's see. Yeah, the dashboard is up here. It just gives some statistics. I believe if you add, I had it so that if you have like 100 members, then it starts giving you percentages or something like that. But I don't want to add a bunch of people for a couple of minutes. But yeah, if you want to add someone, you can say, let's say David, who I never got to add. It comes down here, and then you can click on David. This is kind of the point of routing, right? Like notice up here in the URL. This is something that's more difficult to do in React. It's definitely possible, but you'd have to use something called React Router, whereas in Angular, it's like routing is built in basically. It's made for you to have multi-page applications, which is very common to do in hackathons or, I mean, real life. Every application is a multi-page application, right? Um, so then, yeah, here you could give David a new name, say Dan, right? And then you can toggle Dan's activity or inactivity. That's kind of the goal of what I wanted to make if I had some more time and didn't run into all of those different issues. Um, but yeah, I don't want to leave you without at least running through all the different code. Um, so if I go to detail, member detail, you should actually be able to see like the routing itself, right? So I created some variables activated route. That's basically the like the Angular object that helps you figure out that URL. Um, and then if you go to I believe it's, let's see, oh yeah, app.ts, you can see that um like that route's actually being used in this HTML in this router outlet, right? So the router outlet is handling everything. That's why there's nothing in app.html. So is that all we created? No, I think that's, am I missing anything out of these? I'll zoom in a bit. I didn't realize it was that zoomed out for you guys, but um, dashboard is the one that I just showed. Remember add and member list we did ourselves, right? Those are the two that I implemented. And then detail and dashboard are the two that I brought in from Git. And then member.ts, nothing changed from there. This is the exact same thing as we made. Basically, it has all these different functions that do different things as a part of the member service. Um, like updating them, removing them, toggling them, etc. Um, Nothing changed with regards to that. And then all these different things have CSS that I don't want to get too much into, but yeah. Any questions?
So in general, would you say Angular is more like I think I read somewhere that like Angular is more like bigger in scope than React. Like React is mostly just like the kind of the like Angular kind of has more built into it when you're building an application. Like you have like what you mentioned about the router and stuff like
Yeah.
it's like more stuff is built in. You don't have to use as many like external tools.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. React, it's more like you bring in packages.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool in a way because like React, I think there's a package to have literally like moving
Like
what's it called?
yeah.
Yeah, animations and everything
Yeah.
like that, like the loading screen and everything. It's more convenient with that, but then Angular it's more built in. That's why it takes much longer to run as well. So there's drawbacks to it as well. So feel free to take as many boxes of pizza as you guys want. Yeah.
Oh, I think I have your. I think I.
Oh? Yeah, of course.
No, I forgot what it was.
I didn't know.
No, it was something else. Anyway, I'll just tell you.
I'll just write it.